Wherever you are watching us from, our Election Watch segment on Morning at NTV, we are joined by Chadondo East Member of Parliament Robert Chagulanyi, who you might have also had or known him as Bobi Wine, who has been very, very vocal when it comes to his intentions to run in the 2021 general elections. Good morning and welcome to Morning at NTV.
Good morning, Rita, and welcome to Magere.
Thank you very much. Now we'll get right into it. Are you still vying for the presidency come the 2021 general elections?
Yeah, definitely. And maybe to set record straight, I'm not only vocal about my running for president. I'm vocal about injustice. I'm vocal about oppression. I'm vocal about issues that affect my people, the common people.
Okay.
Sure.
When we bring it to how you would run within the country, one thing is certain that you are a part of a pressure group, and it is not a registered political outfit. So on what ticket are you intending to stand?
Well, I'm leading a social movement called the People Power Movement, which is a platform that brings together not only political parties, but all Ugandans that seek change. Many of them belong to political parties, including the ruling party. And yes, many of them are just, common Ugandans that want better. So this is a unification of all forces of change. Many have already joined us, and yes, many will join us as we get closer to the election.
When you talk about those forces of change, some of them joined you during your consultations earlier on this year.
Yeah.
What did those consultations yield for those that you were able to actually manage to have?
The former consultations were blocked illegally by police and the military on the orders of President Museveni. But like I've always been saying, we will always find a way, and we found a way. We've been meeting our people, we continue to meet our people, and yes, we were able to get their thoughts, and we are generating a very concrete manifesto. Yeah.
Now, last week, you came out with the United Forces of Change, a coalition between you and the four-time presidential candidate, Kizza Besigye. How confident are you that this arrangement will be any different from previous similar attempts, and what are some of the laid-out principles that will guide this coalition?
Yeah, for starters, it did not start yesterday, and it is not only me. It is very many of us, as you might have been noticing. We've been in conversations with different leaders from the ANT, from the Democratic Party, from the Justice Forum, JEMA, and yes, from the FDC, and many others. Last week we got together with Dr. Kizza Besigye, one because our supporters and fellow leaders on lower levels were so much against each other, and we thought it was a gesture that would bring our people together. But again, it has always been about our strategies, while myself and my team has been and continues to move towards the election, because we believe in out-sitting Museveni legally and constitutionally. It has been the argument of our brothers and sisters from FDC and the People's Government that an election alone will not out-sit Museveni. So we agreed to back each other in our respective strategies. We support the strategies that are brought up by the People's Government led by Dr. Kizza Besigye, and yes, we hope they will also support the strategy that we believe in. We stand with them in the defiance, and we are willing to go all the way together. And yes, it is our hope and prayer that they will stand with us in the election and go with us all the way to the election so that we can beat Museveni.
When you say stand with us and go with us, are you seeing yourselves coming together and having one leader as all of you going forward in the 2021 general election?
That is our desire. That is the desire of all Ugandans that seek change.
So are you in talks on that?
Oh, certainly we are in talks on that, and it's our hope and prayer, God willing, that we will finally agree and, come into the election with one candidate. We've always been arguing. I presented myself. Yes, many other candidates have presented themselves. You've seen Joseph Kabuleta, you've seen Norbert Mao, Dr. Kizza Besigye and Genomuntu have not yet announced their intentions, but we are in a discussion so that we have one candidate.
Now, talking about that one candidate, you say we have had talks. Is there perhaps a particular principle, particular strategy of, say, if we all support, if we have more than 5 votes going for you, this is the person we'll go with? Because what we have seen in the past is that principles and strategies may be laid out, but when it comes to choosing that one person, that is where the issue is. If we see what happened with TDA. Yeah,
indeed, we have a huge and rich history, recent and not so recent, to learn from the TDA, from the IPC and others. That's why we decided to start the conversation much, much earlier. And the objective is not only choosing one presidential candidate. If, for example, we chose Kyagulanyi Ssentamu as the sole presidential candidate, we wanted to have a trickle-down effect. It was proposed much in the past months that we have what we call a one-on-one model, where we choose one opposition candidate to face off with the NRM candidate or with the regime candidate. I must mention that not all NRM candidates are against the people of Uganda. For example, we have the likes of Honorable Nsamba, Tinka Simide, Sechikubo, Honorable Kalwanga, who are NRM, but they are pro-people. So we think that if we get one pro-people candidate from whichever grouping or party they come from, for as long as they share the same values, to run against Museveni's candidate, we can be able to sweep away Museveni and Musevenism right from the presidency all the way down to LC1.
Okay, now taking a look, you've mentioned one-on-one model, which is one of the strategies. What other strategies do you have as the United Forces of Change?
Well, we will be unveiling those strategies as time goes on, because we are not in the field alone. Right now, as we speak, our detractors are watching, and probably President Museveni is watching too. So I don't want to put all the strategies on the table. Some of them are going to be rubber dub style.
So we might have to hold you on that and wait to see, because all you have told us for now going forward is the one-on-one model.
For now, I can tell you that we want to have one pro-people candidate and one regime candidate from presidential level all the way to LC1.
Okay, and I think we'll be getting into that when it comes to your roadmap.
Certainly.
People power. But for now, going back to the United Forces of Change, last week when you came out with the No Neda campaign, how has that gone so far?
Well, it has gone well. It has awakened people, because our people were wondering what's next. We were telling them through the No Neda campaign that keep making noise. This is a government that only listens to noise. I'll give an example of my sister, Bad Black. She was demanding for her money and she had to come out and lash out at them. They called her. That is what happens. Everybody who speaks out, they come for them. So why doesn't the whole Uganda speak out, so that they come and or they hear you, and then they'll know that actually there's a voice there?
Well, when you talk about the speaking out, a number of those that did go ahead to take part in the No Neda campaign, in some parts were arrested and detained by police. What is the plight of those people? Have you checked on them?
Certainly, those activists are being followed up by us. Those are our comrades, yeah. But again, that continues to expose the regime, because there's nothing criminal they did. I've been arrested numerous times, and many other people, you know. So it is our intention for the world to see us being arrested for being non-violent.
But even in such situations, from some that we have covered as NTV, you find that things such as social distancing is not even being complied to, these guidelines, when it comes to these protests. Though you say they are non-violent, but putting the health of these people that you're asking to go ahead and make the noise.
You see, with all due respect, I find that a very hypocritical question. Why?
So,
if you went to Chikubo right now, person upon person, they're all packed, millions of people. Go to any urban center, you'll find people packed. Those people are going about their normal business freely. Okay, they are not protesting, they're just living. So for somebody to come and arrest 3 or 4 people that are, you know, raising their voices when they are not arresting Ugandans out there, that is hypocritical. I've said this before and I'm saying it again, that dictators like Museveni use situations like the COVID-19 to keep themselves in power, to stifle voices of dissent, and to intimidate people, which must stop. Yeah.
okay, now let's take it to the scientific elections. Taking a look at the roadmap that you as People Power have, or you as United Forces of Change, you could tell us which one that is. Because we have ANT that has come out to give theirs earlier on in the week. We have the NRM giving theirs today. What about you as the People Power?
Well, we shall communicate to the nation at the right time about that.
Well, you seem to be saying we shall. Is there something that you can at least tell us on this?
Well, we have said it, we are going into an election. Yeah, as the People Power Movement, we've unveiled our election management team, which should be communicating to the nation and laying out our roadmap to the nation. Yeah, but I must say work is ongoing.
As we wait
Sure.
for that. Now, on Monday, you told journalists that you'd go ahead to hold open-air rallies when the campaigns for the 2021 general elections, contrary to the Electoral Commission's directive. What are we going forward with if you're not taking into consideration the law and the health of the people that your supporters, that you want to support you in this election?
I must say we are taking in consideration the law. It is the Electoral Commission, shamefully, that is not taking the law in consideration. The Electoral Commission went and met President Museveni, and he gave them orders. He is one of the candidates. We are running against him. But he calls the Electoral Commission, gives them orders, and they come and, read those illegal orders to us. We don't live by their directives. We live by the law, and the law provides for a normal election. A scientific election is not an election. No, it is not.
What is it? What would you call that?
It is a joke. It's a joke, because there's no way people are going to go to the polls to elect leaders that are going to determine the destiny of their lives, and these people are making an uninformed choice.
Okay.
That does not make sense.
Now,
So,
if we take a look at a country like the US, where Donald Trump went ahead to some campaigns, and there was a surge in the cases, because one thing is for certain, we're not living in normal times. As a country and as a world, COVID-19 pandemic is actually present.
yes.
So when you go ahead to say that you're willing to defy this and the lives of Ugandans are going to be put at stake, where does that leave you as a leader? Because sometimes as a leader, it's also for you to protect your electorate.
Again, I'll say that sounds hypocritical, and I hope I don't sound rude. Why? I've said it before, that Museveni should not lie to Ugandans that this is done in respect to the lives of Ugandans. I am alive to the fact that the COVID-19 is here with us and it's not going away. And it's actually in times like this when Uganda desperately needs the right leadership, the leadership that will put in consideration the plight of the people and not the satisfaction of one person or one family. Now, you remember there was no COVID-19 when our consultations were blocked, or when our shows were personally blocked by Museveni. There was no COVID-19. Today, no single person has died in Uganda of the coronavirus. But so many people have been shot dead under the pretext of coronavirus. So much money has been stolen. The money that would have been used, especially in a time like this, to better our health care facilities. So we should not lie to ourselves that we are fighting the COVID-19. Like the joke has been going around that coronavirus started in China as a disease, went to America and Europe as politics, and came to Uganda as a business. This is a business. This is something that the Museveni regime is using, one, to enrich themselves, and two, to keep Ugandans in bondage. Of course, we consider the lives of our people, but I must also remind you that when something very important happens, people come out. You saw one black man was killed, but because it was a reflection of the oppression of 400 years, people came out in America, people came out in Europe, people came out in different cities of the world. Okay, right now as we speak, there was an election, and there's already a rerun in Malawi and other countries. These are normal elections. In the United States, the most affected country in the world, they're having elections, normal elections. This is a country that has almost maximum penetration, almost 100% penetration of the internet and all that, but they're having normal elections. So what reason do we have to keep Ugandans enslaved for another 5 years simply because we are claiming it's the coronavirus? We've already gotten used to the coronavirus, and because we know it's going to stay here with us forever, then it's important that we learn how to live with it. We're advising our people, even in the rallies, to social distance, just like it's been done in other countries, to wear masks. And yes, to maintain, hand washing and all that. But business must go on as usual. People must get what they must get.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, what you're saying, and if I get it right, is that we're just simply behind, the government is hiding behind the COVID-19 to be able to go past this.
Certainly, the government is hiding behind the COVID-19. And two, they are disconnected with the reality. Like I said.
Let's go back now. Let's talk about that reality that you
The reality is that people are out there, my sister. Go to Chikubo right now as we speak. You'll see the millions of people out there. Go to Natete, go to Kamocha, go everywhere. So this business of playing around with the COVID-19 is playing with the psyche of Ugandans.
Okay. Now, previous elections have seen President Museveni's opponents of benefiting from his incumbents. How much of that is an issue in this climate of unprecedented uncertainty, and what can you tell us about how you intend to triumph over that?
Please ask that again.
Now, previous elections have seen President Museveni's opponents benefiting from his incumbency, yes? How much of that is an issue in this climate of unprecedented uncertainty, and what can you tell us about how you intend to triumph over that?
Well, I fail to understand when you say President Museveni's opponents have benefited from his incumbency. You know, maybe the fact that it is clear that Ugandans see that the opponent is tussling it out with a senile leader who has been in power for 35 years, and it's almost clear for people to see. That's the only advantage, that whatever we are saying, people are already seeing. But again, I disagree with that notion that they are benefiting from that incumbency. Why? Because when you're running against Museveni, you're running against Uganda Police, you're running against UPDF, you're running against Bank of Uganda, you're running against every state institution, because they're all captured and he's using them at will. So I don't see any advantage on that.
So now, when you mentioned that, you've mentioned all that you'll be running against. How do you intend to triumph those?
No, we have already triumphed.
So?
We have been sensitizing our people all along. Those songs that I was singing, I was not just entertaining, I was edutaining people. This we have been doing all along, only that ultimately it required us to delve into it full swing. But we've been communicating to the people. And yes, today as we speak, the people of Uganda are very well sensitized. It's a question of kubayisamo gali, excuse my ghetto language, but we call that, it's a question of going through them one more lap. And that is exactly what Museveni fears. He fears the international community to see that it's clear that the people of Uganda are tired of Museveni. He knows that if he opens, if it's a free and fair election, or that if it's a free and fair campaign, it will be clear. He might not even overcome it. He might not go through the campaign. The man is extremely old. He cannot, for us we are sportees, so he cannot run around with us. I've been waiting for Museveni all this time to reach campaigns, and he knows it. That's why he cannot, dare face us in a campaign. I'm here on NTV, and I dare you, President Museveni, let us go to the people, and we shall show you what we've been talking about all along.
Now, going to those campaigns that you mentioned, the fact that at this point in time, they look like they're going to be a virtual campaign, right? So
they look like, but they are not going to be.
Yes. Why do you say that?
Because people will not accept that. They might surround my home, but the people out there will be out campaigning. This is beyond Museveni's hands. It's beyond the media hand. I've seen the narrative around. I've seen the Electoral Commission trying to officiate it, trying to make this normal. It is not normal. It is unacceptable, and it is not going to happen, my sister. Okay? Ugandans should not be duped this time around. They've waited peacefully for 5 years. We are young people. We could have taken up arms. We could have been violent. We did not do all that because we don't believe in violence. We are not as violent as President Museveni and his gang. Okay? I must remind you that he put Obote on notice. He said if Obote rigs the election, Museveni and his group will go to the bush. And they indeed went there, causing the death of more than 500,000 people. We don't intend to do that. We don't hide. We say everything in the open, because this is a new generation. Yes.
Now, speaking of the new generation, social media is expected to play a very crucial 2021 elections, because the generation you mentioned is on social media. Compared to the last one, this social media was in the forefront. Let's talk about the so-called fake news. How prepared are you to handle this? Because it's something that you have been surrounded by not once, not twice. And if we go down this road, how prepared are you and your team?
I'll talk about the social media first. It is such a shame that President Museveni and the proponents of his dictatorship have been claiming that we can, campaign on social media. This is the same person that got so scared of the voices that were being raised through the social media, since, of course, traditional media has been gagged. And that is why Museveni and his group put a tax on social media. The first time in the world, they don't own WhatsApp, they don't own Facebook, they don't own any social media platform, but they put a tax on it. So it's in Uganda where you buy your smartphone, you buy your data, and again, you have to pay tax to communicate. They're trying to gag people, they're trying to limit people. But like,
talking about that limiting and that over-the-top tax,
yeah.
At some point you were at the forefront saying no to this
Yes,
tax,
yes.
And I believe you have seen what is going on now with people saying if you're going to take us this route, perhaps you should have this tax taken off.
Yeah.
Do you think if we go down this road, you are going to be more vocal and perhaps ask government to take it off so that you can be able to reach your supporters on social media?
My friend, we have been vocal about these things. They've not just started, okay? They've been happening all the time. Like I'm telling you, when these people took over our country in 1986 with the force of guns, they've been trying to subdue every voice and every avenue that is identified that connects people. They've been trying to block it as much as possible. And that is why we need to change the leadership. This such OTT, the mobile money tax, the stealing of the money, these are just symptoms of a bigger problem. The bigger problem is a rotten regime. It's a dictatorship where only one person functions, where only one person has power, and that is what we must change.
So before we get to the change that you require, you will need that vote. So just going back to that question, Are you going to have plans to go ahead and find a way of getting this over-the-top tax taken off?
We are not limited by the over-the-top tax because there was an intention why that tax was put on. Remember, I raised that matter in Parliament when COVID-19 had just started. I requested the government to at least suspend the social media tax so that people can be able to communicate, people can be able to receive and send information without, physical touch. But because this regime knows it has very intelligent people, unfortunately, these people have evil intelligence. They use their wisdom to oppress their own people. They did not answer that, okay? Social media continues to be taxed. That OTT tax, continues to function. Why? Because their intention is not to help Ugandans. You must get that. Their intention is to control Ugandans, and anything that helps Ugandans, they're not going to allow it happen.
So you have to wait for your regime, say if you have voted in to take this off, is what you're saying.
To take
off the task.
Of course. In the first 100 days when I become president, all these stupid taxes will go. All those oppressive laws will go. Yeah.
Well, we go on to something else when it comes to voting.
Yeah. And maybe I'm sorry to dwell a little bit there. You were asking what we are going to do.
Yes.
Because we know all these other avenues are stifled. Our hope has always and continues to be with the people. So we shall reach the people. We shall go to the people.
Now, going to the people in other places, televisions and radio stations, what are your thoughts on that and your experience when it comes to having these interviews?
Forget TVs, forget radio stations, my sister. I will tell you that we have been blocked from radio stations from across the country. Leave alone the fact that radio stations are not enough, or even TV stations. For example, in the previous election, we had over 40,000 candidates. And considering the number of TV and radio stations, even if we were to go, campaigning on the media, each candidate will have less than 1 minute all through the campaign. And remember, some of them will have that 1 minute past midnight, maybe 3 a.m. Most of these radio and TV stations are owned by NRM apologists, by NRM ministers, MPs, and politicians. But even those that are seemingly independent, they are blocked from hosting people like myself. Yesterday, I was on TV, and I was asking my brother, because I'm from here, but even our own radio station, I cannot be hosted on it. There's an order that I don't appear there since I became MP. So our hope is with the people of Uganda.
Well, we're going to take a short break now, but when we return, we're going to be getting into that hope when it comes to the people of Uganda, your expectations on them as we get into the 2021 general elections. Keep it morning at NTV.
Morning at NTV.
Well, we are still in Magere, and we're still having the conversation with Honorable Robert Chagulanyi. Now we're getting into the conversation when it comes to voters. Your current stand, Honorable, when it comes to the issue, guided by your team's understanding of the sort of voter you're intending to reach, is that it shouldn't be social media, it shouldn't be television sets, but it should be rallies, these campaigns, open-air campaigns. So tell me about that voter and the sort of message that you hope to get across, whether it's the physical rallies or if it's the virtual ones.
Okay, now for starters, our means of communication has been reaching out to the people. This I've been doing in Chadondo, even within COVID time, because we care about the lives of our people, and yes, we do the necessary to make sure there's social distancing and there's wearing of masks and everything. Like you rightly say, most of our people cannot even afford the luxury of having social media. Leave alone social media, they don't have the luxury of having TVs or radio stations, or even, the percentage of power coverage in our country. And our most ardent supporters are the common people, the lowest citizens. Those ones must not be denied the communication. They must not be denied the message reaching them.
So is the message going to be through music, as you have always done it?
Well, it's going to be through all ways.
What are those ways?
Through music, of course, like you mentioned, but also through, public meetings. We meet our people, observe social distancing, give them a message, and that message will go on. Because we don't have access to radio stations, we are deliberately being targeted and blocked from radio stations, so we do it another way.
Okay. Now, on that voter, the voter apathy has increasingly been an issue, not just in Ugandan elections, but elsewhere in the continent. As we sign off, what message do you have for that voter that might not see the whole point of participation in an election, let alone one that is already undergoing serious rearrangement of the hands when it comes to this pandemic?
Well, voter apathy is not our problem anymore. We've spent 3 years sensitizing our people, calling them to get involved. What brought me was primarily that, to remind people that this is their country and their vote is their gun, is their weapon. So our people are ready. Remember, we've spent a very long time calling upon Ugandans, especially young people, to register as voters. And you've seen a surge in a number of registered voters. And that is exactly what the regime fears. They know people are ready to vote. So this that we are doing is just a last round of going through them, preparing them.
Okay. As we go off this, I'll just take you back to the Electoral Commission. I believe you have gotten to know about what they said yesterday when they met with the political parties. What are your thoughts on what they came out to say after those 13 points?
Well, I just tell Mr. Byabakama and his, the people he works with that they are not the bosses of Uganda. No, they're just servants of Ugandans. Their duty is to deliver a free and fair election. Their duty is to observe the law. I'm glad he was in the judiciary, Their duty is to respect the law, not to try to go around the law. No. And we are not going to listen to their directives because they work for us as Ugandans. We want a free and fair election, and we don't want anything that just looks like it. We want that exactly. So, Mr. Byabakama, there is no scientific election. That business of you and Museveni sitting and planning how you're going to rig this election, it will not work with our generation, sir. And you cannot intimidate us, just like your boss Museveni cannot intimidate us. This time, Ugandans are prepared to have their freedom by any means necessary. You've seen it in Mali, and we have put you people on notice, okay? Because we've taken so much, it's been 35 years, so we're not going to take this.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Morning at NTV.
Thank you so much for having me. If I could send one final message.
It's what I wanted to ask you, your parting words for that person who's watching it today.
To all Ugandans, you know that we have gone through a lot of unfulfilled promises, a lot of lies. These people came in 1986. I was only 4 years. Many of you were not born. And it has been tricking and tricking and tricking. Every situation that you are going through is because of bad governance, and it's only you that can fix it. So don't be duped. Don't be fooled. We are just 6 months from a very fundamental decision that could fundamentally change the way we live and our hopes for the future. So you've got to stand up. You've got to assert yourselves. This is the only opportunity. We did not use that opportunity when they were raping our constitution, and yes, life presidency was endorsed. Now, this is the opportunity. If you Ugandans don't kwebereramu, you might sentence yourselves and your children and your children's children to yet another 50-year dictatorship. So this is the time. Do not fear these guys, because I am sure they fear us most. Thank you very much, and God bless you. People power is our power.
Well, that was our conversation this morning with Honorable Robert Chagulanyi, also known as Bobi Wine, the Member of Parliament for Chadondo East. Now, for all those whose birthday is today, the 24th of June, thank you so much for sending in those who were able to send in names of your loved ones. We celebrate you today, and we wish you a happy, happy birthday. For those that have been a part of the conversation on Morning at NTV, hashtag Morning at NTV continues throughout the day. From us to you, have a good day and stay safe.